Good afternoon to the Matrix and anyone revising and preparing for exams. We are going to be doing a discussion of our first paper of 2024 exams, which is our English home language paper 3, which was written today. It was a 3-hour paper, 100 marks, a very fair paper. Hopefully the panic is over now because this is always the jawbreaker to the exams. And therefore, I believe this was one of the calmest exams that we expected. We did not have a paper one as the first exam this year, which sets the anxiety, but we had a beautiful paper 3, which has calmed your nerves. And therefore, we are encouraging you to now take that confidence and go into your other exams as happy people. Okay, we had beautiful essays that were brought in. Hopefully, you remember the instructions, and hopefully, please let's make sure we adhere to what we have been asked. And you wrote neatly and legibly. Right, let's go and see the possibilities and the amount of ideas that we expected you to come up with. Creativity was supposed to flow, and therefore it means that you had the opportunity and the choice for you to decide what type of essays you made of it. 450 words had to be coming out, and therefore roughly 2 to 2.5 pages. Right, let's look at the essays that we're presented with today. We were presented with 1.1 is having a pen, a notebook, and a sunrise. You have so many options of what you want to make into an essay. I believe when we come into this topic, we expected a lot. It could have been a reflective essay. I believe you had a lot of options there. You could have had a reflective essay. You could have made it into a reflective. You could have made it into a narrative. That's another one that could have come in, a narrative. You could have made it into a discursive. So at the end of the day, you could have made it into a descriptive if you wanted. So anything was possible. One of the things that comes into mind when we're talking about a pen, a notebook, a sunrise, I believe we could have talked about isolation, someone rediscovering themselves, or we could have talked about a holiday, being away from all the stress and in a quiet place, finding yourself again, self healing, therapy, isolation, a descriptive of a beautiful place, and you taking down, diarizing what is happening. A beautiful image could have come out as a descriptive. A beautiful story could have come out as a narrative. A beautiful story could have come up as a reflective. A beautiful discussion could have come out of what are the possibilities of you having a pen in hand, a notebook, and a beautiful sunrise right in front of you. So as a result, nature coming in and its effect and its impact on a person could have also come in. Let's be creative. We can go all out. Whatever you want to choose, please make sure that you choose it as a reflective, you choose it as a descriptive, you choose it as a narrative, but you must give a beautiful essay. So a lot of possibilities could have come out there. Artificial intelligence, AI is a threat. Ironically, this is one of the things that has been the buzz of the this year, 2024. I believe this has been the buzz of what has transpired to us and our phones and our gadgets, because AI is definitely taking over. And ironically, I even discussed it a few days ago with my learners and said, you can make it a discussive because these are relevant topics. So when you say relevant topics, you can discuss, you can argue, you can have made it an argumentative, definitely. So as a result, you could have made it a narrative. So as a result, something must have come out. I believe this is something, when you say discursive essay, I believe 50% of the chances is that we do need AI. We are having technology coming into phase, and therefore we cannot deny it its place anymore in the world. And therefore it means that it must become our accomplice. It's supposed to be a human accomplice. And then on the other side, we are discussing and say we need to use it wisely because it has its advantages. So as a result, it means that we can't use our creative thoughts anymore. We can't use our minds anymore. It's just a duplication of AI, and therefore it means that AI takes over. So you could have argued and said, no, we cannot say it's a threat because AI is the new age, the new era, and therefore it means that things are more simplified. And if things are more simplified, it means that doing anything, whether economically, environmentally, agriculturally, socially, it's become simplified and easy to do. So you could have done a lot of things. But on the other hand, you could have argued and said that unfortunately, homework is not even being done by the learners anymore. We are definitely marking AI because they are no longer doing anything for themselves. They just copy and paste, and then they think they are done. So now when we're coming in and talking about artificial intelligence, this is something very relevant. It's affecting all of us as humanity. And as a result, this was the most relevant topic for us in this essay, according to my own observation. And therefore, it means that it's something that we are using. It's something that is dominantly creeping up. And I believe I'm one of those teachers who has been complaining that I don't know whose voice that is, but it's not you. I'm getting the same voice, and it's definitely AI some way. So as a result, it depends. I believe if you wanted to discuss, you could have said, we just need to discipline ourselves and know how to use it. It means that effectively we must be able to know where we place it in our lives. And therefore, when you're discussing, it means you bring both avenues that we have it, it's there to stay, but we are also having challenges. And therefore, we just have to work along how we fit it into our lives and what we're going to use it for. Arguing it means that you have to take a side, whether you're saying it is a threat or it is not a threat, and therefore you have to substantiate yourself. Beautiful essays coming in today. 1.3 said, when two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. That is an African proverb. And remember, when it comes to proverbs and saying, you have to get the meaning. So at the end of the day, it means casualties must be there. And therefore, people must be able to understand that when you are taking an African proverb, or you're taking a saying, or you're taking a proverb, or whatever it is that is coming in, please let's make sure we get the meaning and the context. If we get the meaning of the and the context, it means that we are basing our essay on what is the meaning and not on elephants. It has nothing to do with elephants. It has nothing to do with the grass. But when we come in and talk about what you are going to produce for 2.5 pages, you are supposed to bring the meaning in. And as such, if you're not sure of that, you had so many options. And therefore it's easy for you to run away from something that you're not sure of. This is a powerful African proverb. So it means that when powerful forces go to war, people get hurt. They are the ones who get hurt. So the ones who are never in conflict are the ones who get in the crossfire and get killed. So it means that you could have made it into a discursive essay. I believe a discursive essay could have come out. History could have been brought in a way, and as a result, that's where you can now bring in to say who becomes the casualty in the fights that happen in our history or around us, or in any area that you've discovered a conflict has happened. It could have been a discursive essay, and therefore it means you could have brought it now. It also could have been a reflective, I believe, for you. It could have been a narrative as well, to narrate exactly who could have been in a fight and who could have been the casualty and what lessons could be learned from there. So any of those could have been applicable. So now, as I say, the elephants have nothing to do with the topic. The grass has nothing to do with the topic. It's the meaning that constructs the essay itself. Conflict, casualties, crossfire, and then casualties, I believe. 1.4 said it wasn't a bang, but with a quiet click, the dog claws. This is a beautiful, beautiful narrative essay. This is a beautiful narrative essay, and I believe a story had to be created, a storyline had to be created, and people had to give us a plot, a twist somewhere, climax of some sort, a resolution coming in, and therefore we're now talking about someone turning their back on someone instead of the person being outraged and angry, what happens is that just quietly and calmly walks away, and as a result, that's a closure and turns his back on people. Anything could have come out, and as a result, I believe it could have been the start, the end of something, and the beginning of something for someone else. So a lot of narrative essays could have come in. A story, a beautiful story, must have been created. 1.5 says, I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. This is a song as well, remember? So it's very hard for me to contain myself. This is a quotation that's coming from it says by Louis Armstrong. So as a result, what a wonderful world. And I believe it's a very old song. Unfortunately, if you're not really into the old school, you'll never understand. So as a result, when we say I see trees of green, red roses too, I believe you had to understand that small quotation. If you don't, I'm sorry, you were lost. So if you don't understand such things, oh, come on, you don't force yourself. You have a lot of options. And as such, when we're coming in, we are talking about the wonderful world. When you say what a wonderful world, I believe the treasures that we have amongst us, the little things that we take for granted, and as such, we never get to understand. The song basically talks about chances of improvement, chances of growth, and as a result, hope and dreams can come in as well. So as a result, there is a lot that symbolism of colors. That's something that could have come up as well. And as such, we are talking about how we take life. We have to understand why we take life and how we take life and how we view it. So when there's so much hatred in the world, when there is so much violence in the world is still beautiful. There is always a chance for us to actually stop the pain, make life what we want to make of it, make it peaceful again. There is always a chance to do something right, even if things have gone wrong. So, as a result, the song focuses on the happier side of life instead of the anger, the violence, the negativity that is brought by the everyday world. The blessings that we see around us are the ones we should focus on. So as a result, you could have made it into a beautiful discursive essay, I believe. Discursive was coming in. I believe it could have been a beautiful reflective essay based on the pains that your society can come into. So as a result, as much as we are so much involved in our own lives, we still have each other, and Ubuntu, humanity is still making us now come together united despite the hatred that is there, the violence that is there, the poverty, the corruption that is going on. But there's so much that we can look forward to say we raise each other, we help each other, we take care of each other, and therefore we do not turn our backs on each other. And as a result, that's the soothing meaning and the feeling that the song gives. So as a result, hope is what was supposed to be brought in. So as I said, it's a wonderful world despite what we are going through. All right, we are going to move on now to the the picture essays. I believe our next is our picture essays. And as a result, it was 1.61, 1.6, 1.7. Right. We had picture essays. And the first one we're looking at is a man holding a guitar on his shoulder. And I believe art can be coming in. We can be talking about someone's passion in life, and as a result, importance of arts, music, whatever you wanted to make of it. And as a result, it could have been made a discursive essay, I believe. It could have been made a narrative essay as well. it could have been made a reflective essay. I'm not saying narrate the man is holding the guitar on his shoulder and walking in an isolated railway line. No, I'm talking about the symbolism of you finding your own way in life, and therefore, what is this? Doing what you love and passionate about, and as a result, society shuns art so much and say it does not make money and support, but actually you had to discuss how you view the symbolism of doing what you are passionate about. So those are some of the things that could have come in there and you could have brought them in. So as such, you had to decide if you wanted that one. 1.7 for me beautifully stands out. I believe that's the second beautiful essay in this paper for me. Roots. It's all about our roots, a person's roots, I believe. That's the root of a tree. And therefore, the roots are out. The tree, a big tree at that, very long, very tall, but the roots are out. And for me, it's not just the roots of a tree. I believe it's the roots of a person. Knowing your roots and sticking to your roots and actually grounding yourself to what you have been groomed and brought up to believe in, and therefore making it a foundation for your life. So it could have been made at a lot of things: narrative, reflective, discursive, argumentative. It depends with you with what you wanted. But I believe that we all understand the roots make a person. So as a result, it means that you must understand that, well, however you were brought up and the roots that were cultivated in you are the ones that will make you, even in your decision making, in any path that you choose in life. And therefore, it's very important that we still go back to our roots and not adapt ourselves to new things and just be swayed about. So you need to stand firm in your roots so that you can be able to now make sustainable decisions, make a sustainable living, and actually make good decisions. And what is this one? Pave the right way for yourself. So, beautiful essay for me was the second one. That's the second one, I believe. And then we're going on to the next one. And I believe that is our 1.8. 1.8 is a human being who's being crushed by a human hand. And as a result, a lot of ideas came into mind. State of humanity is one of them. When you say state of humanity, we're talking about the way people are at the moment in time. We're going to talk about the issue of what is holding men back. A lot of things can be holding men back. Some people don't have their future or their lives controlled by them, and therefore it can be someone controlling humanity, and therefore it means that now their lives are restricted. So a lot of things had to come in to say freedom is not there. Men are, according to the Bill of Rights, supposed to be free. Every human being is supposed to be free. But are we really free? That's another question. So a lot of things could have come in as an argumentative essay, I believe. It could have come in as a discursive essay as well, for you to decide exactly what are you bringing in about the state of humanity and the men in general, not just one human being, men in general, and exactly what is holding us back. So as a result, at the end of the day, it means that our lives are not ours. It means that we are restricted somewhere. That's something that can come out. And I believe a lot of things, another way you could have seen it is that a lot of things are really suppressing us in life. As much as we try, I believe poverty is really crushing us as human beings. And as a result, the more we try, sometimes the more it's so difficult and it gets worse. The decline in economic status, the decline environmentally means that it's really holding us within their clutches. Instead of us controlling it, it is controlling us. So you had to make a symbolism of the hand. What might really be constraining human beings? I believe environment, I believe economy, I believe technology is having and crushing us really, because at the end of the day, as humans, we are now dependent on it. A lot of things could have come out. This was also the third one for me that took the cup. I think I had three that I could have said these ones could have been discussed beautifully. I believe the fourth one that I'll mention will be the pen, the sunrise, the first one. I believe those are the top four for me as a grade 12 teacher to say, oh, the first one, a pen and notebook and the sunrise. that also could have brought a beautiful essay. So as a result, there are a lot of things that you could have understood or taken and chose. And as such, what's the most important thing? Creativity. Creativity has to come out. So that was our section A. As long as you mentioned what you wanted to mention and brought it clearly to the marker's attention, I believe you sail through in this paper. Creativity is all that matters, and the effort must have paid off today. We have been working so hard with our grade 12s for the section B transactionals because we've been trying to seal the formats into place. The transactional text for section B mean that you must know how things stand. I believe we have been trying so much to make you understand that this goes there, internalize the structure and the format so that you can be able to know what goes where and you can reproduce, and then now you can put your content in. So hopefully it paid off, because I believe a lot of work has been paid by teachers in this one, a lot of work. I believe we've been making them redo so many times. No, go redo it again. No, start afresh. You did it wrong. You swap this. You were supposed to put this first. It's been frustrating, but I believe today it was worth the frustration, because finally, I believe doing these things over and over again has finally sealed it for us. And as we come in, I think today people smiled when they opened this paper, because they finally said, oh, wow, finally the things that we've been doing are finally there. So let's go and look exactly what matters here. One of the things I'm worried about is this issue, the audience, the register, the tone and style. As long as you miss the audience, I believe you get lost somewhere. So we've always advised that you understand who you are writing the letter to, or who you are writing the review for, who you are talking to in the interview, so that you can be able to know your choice of words. If you know your audience, it means your choice of words will be fine, because you'll know I'm not supposed to use this register, and therefore my tone should be respectful, sincere, and therefore my style is I must be asking it in a polite way, or I must be writing it in this way. So as a result, let's make sure that we don't rush to answer, but we rush to make sure that we give the correct registered tone, style, and choice of words and language structure. You do that, and then you seal in your format. These three play a role for us. These three really play a role for us. I believe they hold the transactionals together. And if we can even make sure that the younger grades understand and grasp this, I believe we'll be having beautiful marks in the near future. So all the best to us trying to seal in our transactionals for the future generations. And therefore, let's look at what was supposed to have been done today. It says the interview. I hope you followed this instruction, please. It says write down the number and the title, the heading of the text you have chosen. Example 2.1 interview. You know, it's very surprising how learners can jump from formats and come here. It's very shocking, because they can do that. So please don't jump anything, guys. I need you guys to make sure that you don't jump anything. Please make sure that when you are doing any reading, you make sure that you do it right, or else we're really going to have a problem there. All right, let's go to the interview. The interview says, as a human rights activist, you believe that young people should play a significant role in combating gender inequality in society. All right, let's go and see what we expected from people, and we talk about the things that we're supposed to do. All right. I believe one of the things we're talking about, human rights activists, it seems that this is a person who believes that there must be a change coming in society. So as a result, you are supposed to be underlining your keywords to say, one, I'm being given a human rights activist. Young people is key there. And I believe play a significant role is the next one. Combating gender inequality in society is the next one. So you had to make sure you touch on all elements of the question. But before we do that, let's talk about the format of an interview before we go there. We must remember and recall that if you're going to do a transactional text, you must be able to remember the structure and the format, because it is a dialogue. The only difference is that there is prompting, that is happening by asking questions, and then there must be answers that must be given. So there must be a question, there must be an answer, there must be a question, and there must be an answer. One of the things I'm really trying to implement is that learners grasp that there are so many ways to ask questions. You can't be using what throughout the whole of the interview. No, 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 no. You have to vary. Can you explain what your group of young people are doing to combat gender inequalities in society? Do you have any organizations that can be coming up and backing up your programs? What are the activities that you do as the young people in the community of Johannesburg South or wherever you are? Uh, Specify the gender inequalities that are happening in your society for us. So please, there are so many ways, vary them. But one of the things I believe you could have given is the issue of programs. They had to be included. I believe breakdown of gender inequality in society, in your society specifically. Gender inequality in your society had to be given. So as a result, you had to specify, I believe. What is this one? You also had to be talking about how you empower women. How are you going to empower women and the young girls in your society to combat gender inequality and young girls, I believe. And as I said, educational programs could have been brought in as well. Not only educational programs, something is coming to mind. I believe we're talking about activities that are being done to actually give them skills and equip them with proper information and all those things. Organizations supporting the cause could have been brought in as well. A lot of things could have been asked here. So you had to make sure you bring out that young people really are playing a significant role in combating gender inequalities in society. So as a result, vary the way you ask questions. Before we move on, may you specify about the stress on this? Help us understand how you are making a change in your society with the young people that you are part of a group with. So ask your questions in various ways so that there will be no monotony. When there's monotony, it becomes boring, and as a result, you know how frustrating it is to be asking the what, and leaving it there. So that's what I'm trying to bring in today. And then we had to go to a book review. A book review is saying you have recently read the book that has had a profound impact on the way in which you view the world, and therefore write a review of the book. I love the fact that they made it open. It means that the choice of book was yours. So you had to choose a book for yourself. I hopefully people chose a book that has an impact and not any type of book that is to do with things that are irrelevant to us and out of context. So when the choices are open, please don't get lost. You know, we don't deal with politics, sexually explicit material, and all those things that are bringing sensitive areas into the exam. Religion is also it's a thorn on the side because people are from various denominations, and therefore now you become what is this one? Of forcing them to take on whatever you want to bring. So as a result, hopefully you chose wisely. And as such, now your book review now had to follow a certain format. And therefore it must have been clear that you had to do a variety of things. I believe it can be a little bit demanding because it is specific. What do we mean by that? A book review must have a title. So you must give it a title, and it should consist of the name of the book. And I believe you can add on a phrase that gives your general opinion And as such, that's something that we always start with. So as such, that's one thing that had to come in. A title had to be given. So as a result, when you write the title, it means that the author was supposed to be there. And then the author also is followed by the publisher that is also supposed to be there. So as a result, that's what we call at the beginning of a book review, at the top of the book review, we expect those three things. We expect the title, we expect the writer or the author, and then we expect the publisher. And then now when it comes to the first paragraph of your review, I believe the name of the book, the name of the underlying message is now specified. I believe the first paragraph specifies and breaks down the book itself. So as a result, that's what you are supposed to do. Is it and what type of book is it? I believe the genre of the book must also come in. Is it modern? Is it educational? Is it an autobiography? Is it historical? That's where you specify the type of book or the type of genre that it is. And then now that's you coming in. The second paragraph, definitely the setting must be given, the main characters must be given, and something of interest that arises there. So, as such, we expected that to come in. And I believe the mood that is created by the setting and all those things. The third paragraph, storyline, though you won't go detailed with the storyline, but you must touch on it. You must also touch on the beginning and the ending. I believe the style of writing comes in this paragraph. The register or the type of language used must come in. And as a result, those are the things that are supposed to be explained there. And I believe you follow with uh, why you particularly went for that book. What is it about that book that really captures your attention so that you can recommend it? Recommendations must also come in there, and I believe whatever stood out about the book for you must be given, and as such, that is how it will end the review. So remember, the book review has a guideline of the format of what comes next, what follows. So you had to follow that. And if you did that, I believe you were fine. You couldn't really get lost there. So, as such, a lot of books can come in. I believe when I had a conversation with some of my grade 12s, they said, Mem, Tsotsi came into my mind. I laughed and said, "Was it? That's a book you forced us to read so many times when we were in grade 11. Dorian Gray came into mind. And I said, you forced us so many times to really what is this view the world and that the world is not black and white. So I said there's nothing wrong with you doing that because Tsotsi has a way of making us understand how our history affects us and how our childhood really affects us. Dorian Gray gives us a view of that the world is not really simplified because a person is internally evil and good at the same time, and therefore it means that a person has to decide which one dominates. Do you want the evil to be the one dominating or the good to come out of you? So I was not surprised when they say that. And I wasn't expecting them to say that because they said, no, I wanted something relevant. So I thought of Dorian Gray because you forced me to read it. And as a result, now Dorian Gray made me realize that influence is real. Friends' influence is real. And as a result, that's where a person gets lost. And as such, decisions that a person makes has a profound impact on us and how we see the world and how you will react to the world as an individual. So that's a review from a child who says, I had to go away. I knew I couldn't just bring a book that I wrote for fun. And I couldn't even remember what I learned from the book because it was just for fun. So as a result, I wasn't surprised when I got those ones. I just had to make them explain to me why they chose those books. They say they know them very well, so they decided to choose that. So it doesn't matter what book you chose as long as it had a relevance of and the profound impact on the way in which you yourself would view the world. All right, we go to the letter to the press, which was question 2.3. Um, I believe this is one of the letters. This is the one of the letters that we did so many times because learners still confused. We're still confused because they kept saying DSO, madam, and we're to be drilling in learners that this is the only letter that does not have a dear. So it's the only letter that does not have a dear. So which means learners now had to know that, hey, this is the only letter that does not have a dear. So at the end of the day, let me make sure that I do this right. A majority say they chose it, and I'm not blaming them because I do understand them. We drilled it so much to the learners. Let's look at the question. It says the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, recently called for a global ban on smartphones in school. That is a very sensitive topic because it's really been dominating for years. It's a battle between educators and schools and the parents and the education world itself. So now it says write a letter to the editor in which you express your views. So now you are writing a letter to your newspaper to say, what are your views on the ban that has been placed in schools? So it means you had to decide, is the ban for the good or is the ban for the bad? So as a result, you had to write your views based on either of those sides to say it's good that the ban comes along. So let's discuss on the things that could have been mentioned when talking about the ban. If we say the ban is for the good and we are saying it was really called for that the UNESCO calls a global ban, it's because cell phones have caused problems in the education sector. Why? We are talking about issues of smartphones fostering cheating in schools. I believe that some of the things, cheating in class activities, cheating in assessments. So there are so many angles you could have taken it. You could have talked about distractions because 1 minute you're talking to a learner, the next minute the learner is not even listening to you and is focusing on what is on the phone. And I believe, therefore, it means that the classroom is no longer a classroom because it's supposed to be a teacher learner interaction. But the teacher is now teaching himself because learners are on their phones. The other thing you could have talked about is the issue of how it affects behavior. Because now when their phones are confiscated for that lesson, they now really go in outrage and anger and rudeness and all those things because they believe it's their personal possession. So behavior could have been brought in as well to say, therefore, to curb that behavior, that aggression, we must ban the cell phones. Someone could have said that it's a good thing for the cell phones to be banned because now school is a community that comprises of the learner and other learners. It comprises of the learner and the educators. But now there is no social skills, there is no communication because the children don't even communicate with each other anymore. They're just on their phones, don't want to talk to people. And as a result, there is no social skills that are being developed. There is no communication that is being fostered because instead of the child talking to the teacher in class, the child is now talking to the phone or invested in the phone. And therefore, it means that we are no longer um, having the proper guidance towards the child. So many things could have been brought out that could have been raised there. So now the other thing that could have been brought in is the issue of bullying. Online bullying is happening, cyberbullying is happening, and it's real, and therefore it's really having an impact on their behavior. They become withdrawn, anxious, depressed. Suicide is on the rise because of cyberbullying. And as a result, now that tempers with the risk and brings a risk to the child's life. So those are some of the things that could have been brought to say the ban is really called for. But someone could have argued and said, no, the ban is unfair because now we are living in a technological era, and therefore it means that we cannot do without what is this one? Some smartphones. And therefore now school and the actual normal school is also going to be assisted by the use of cell phones because why? If used correctly, learners can actually gain more information and more explanations. I believe nowadays you could have been very specific to say YouTube is a learning channel, a teaching channel, and therefore it further explains. But the teacher only has 30 minutes and an hour to explain. But you can go to YouTube and get a detailed 2-hour lesson of the same component at your own pace. So which means all levels of learners are compensated for. And it means the child will now understand at their own pace as well and come into class now on the same page as everyone. Someone could have said it can be used as a global learning community whereby they can connect and share information amongst themselves globally. Someone in another continent can share, someone in another province can share, and as a result, they gain more knowledge with that. And I believe someone could have said there's no need to ban them because what's only needed is regulation. Regulation and standards must be upgraded and made stricter so that you can be able now to say stricter reforms are introduced, educational up standards are now improved, and therefore it will help now to make people understand that you can control a child's phone, and therefore as long as you put regulations and standards are upgraded to now control the use of smartphones in schools. So it went two ways. You had to decide which one you go for. Whether you went for the good, substantiations were so many. Whether you went that the ban is bad, you still had a lot of things to substantiate with it. I've just given a few examples there. It's expression of view, so it doesn't mean you have to take only the good. You can also be allowed to take the other side and expound on yourself. So as a result, that was the letter to the press. Let's talk about the format of the letter to the press. I believe it had two addresses. Remember, when we're talking about two addresses, it is your own address on the right-hand side of the page. Coming to the left-hand side of the page, the child had to be clear to say that they start with the title or position of the person. I believe one of the things we're talking about is the editor. It had to be clear that someone had to bring in the issue of specifying who you are writing to. So as such, we are saying the editor had to be brought in. When we say the editor, it means that we are coming in and saying position of the person, followed by, I believe the name of the newspaper had to be clear. This is what the address would have looked like. The editor, what is this one? The Citizen, that's the name of the newspaper. And then it will be the address 6 Cornerstone Street. And I believe now it had to go to Lenasia, 1754. So the address had to be clean, but the title, which is the position of the person, the name of the newspaper, that one must not be left out. I believe that is what is confusing our learners, followed by the subjects. My views on the global ban on smartphones in school called for by the UNESCO. That's the title of your letter. So it's just my views on the what is this one? The global ban on smartphones in school that has been called for by UNESCO. That's your title. And then now you have to be specific. Now you refer to the ban when it was made, and as a result, that's you now introducing your letter and stating exactly where you saw it, and now you go on and express that as a child myself in a school, I am worried about the ban, or as a child myself at school, I am for the ban and supporting it fully, and then that's when you now go to your reasons. I believe let's go to the end, which causes us problems also. It's always yours faithfully. And it's, I believe we said after here it has to be sir or madam without the dear. And then therefore that leads you to your yours faithfully, you sign, and then initials or the name had to come in, name and surname. So as a result, that is what we are facing in a letter to the press. And I believe I'm happy with my learners because I drilled it so many times to say, this is you expressing your views to the public about something that you believe in. And as such, just get the format right and then you won't go wrong. So as long as the editor, the citizen is there, sir or madam, the subject, yours faithfully, and then the signing and the initials or the name and surname, I believe your format was up to par and well done to you for that. We go on to 2.4, which becomes our informal speech. Our informal speech, it means that it was to people of the same age, which means that informal language was allowed. The sports club to which you belong has seen a dramatic increase in vaping. You have decided to express your views on this issue at the monthly meeting, it says. Write the speech that you will present to the members of the sports club. That's what exactly made it informal, because you are part of the sports club yourself. All right, they even were kind enough to give you what vaping is as a glossary there. Big up to our exam this year, because they're making things simplified for you. Thank you, examiners. It says the sports club to which you belong has seen a dramatic increase in vaping. I believe this is where you're supposed to start off with. When you say dramatic increase, statistics could have been given. And as a result, that's where your starting off point for was to show the concern. So as a result, the stats would have been convincing to show your concern about the club itself. It would have been nice if you were specific to talk about the club and give the name of the club. Don't just say our club, our club. Be very clear. Sundowns, the Sundowns under 21 whatever. Now you're talking about that and whatever you want to do. So as a result, the Kaizer Chiefs club. So as a result, a name had to be supplied. I mean, boys are sports people. So as a result, coming up with soccer club names would not have been difficult. So as a result, it says, write the speech that you will present. I believe one of the things we are very supposed to be talking about is that vaping and its consequences. So you have to give the consequences of vaping and its smoking, inhaling vapor containing nicotine and or flavoring. I believe that was our key. Nicotine is highly addictive. So as a result, that was your starting point to say they take it lightly and do it for fun, but it contains a substance that is highly addictive. And therefore, that obviously is a red flag for danger. So anything that is highly addictive becomes dangerous because it will become a habit. And therefore, it means that the child now becomes an addict. So as a result, that's one major issue here to bring in. It also leads to a high decrease in athletic performance, I believe. So athletic performance is negatively affected. So as a result, that's something else that you could have brought in for you there. Oxygen flow, breathing, inhaling, exhaling of normal breathing can be affected as well. Threatened blood pressure. I believe there are so many things. I believe we do LO. So as a result, all our speeches always come and derive us from LO, I believe. And then dizziness, I believe also can be brought in. Uh, so now that's where you could have brought in some ideas. And that's when you could have now called out for the club owners or the club leaders or the managers or the coaches now to encourage introduce and encourage stricter measures. Penalties must be given. I believe when you say penalties, something comes into mind at this moment to say if a child is tested and found to be having this in his system, it means that they do not they are not part of the match that day, which means they must be benched or they must be suspended from taking for being part of the match, or a consecutive number, 2 consecutive matches, it means you are suspended. So there's no playtime for you. That will now make the learners, I mean the players, to actually now realize that there might be a problem and might even want to take. And also you need to talk about constant testing that must be done weekly if it must, so that now they can realize that this is now being taken seriously. But if they get away with it, it means that they'll continue doing it, and it means there will be no change there. So that's what we mean now by this issue of the vaping. All right, we go on to our email. Oh, I was expecting one. I thank the stars because I believe speech, letter, email was the top three that I kept seeing and asking Are we going to be lucky this year? We were lucky. We finally got our email, we got our letter to the press, and we got our informal speech. So as a result, I believe top 3 for me came in. I'm happy for my learners. I just hope they did justice, and I hope all of you did as well. Seeking a superstar Waitron, it says position vacant. Panino Steakhouse is seeking an energetic, passionate, and outgoing Waitron to join our vibrant team. How to apply? If you think that you fit the bill, send an email to paninosteakhouse@panino.com. Look at it closely because you are interested in applying for the position advertised above. Provide clear motivation for your inclusion in the team. The keywords are provide clear motivation. So, which means now we need to be very specific. How are you going to convince them to consider you as part of the team itself? So that's something that we are going to focus on today of being a superstar waitron. Waitron is being a waiter or a wait. Going to say apply for the position. Let's talk about the things that we can bring. I believe one of the key areas that we need to talk about is that you need to convince why you need to be employed and chosen. Right. Let's talk about the things that come into mind right now. Experience, I believe, will come in. We are definitely going to touch on experience, guys. We cannot do without experience. It doesn't matter how many years you have. 2 years is experience. 6 months is experience. So anything had to come in. The skills had to come in. I believe, but the first thing I believe is you had to state where you saw the post. State the website where you saw the post. State the website where you saw the post. So as a result, in your introduction, you had to state the website where you saw the post. And as such, that's where now you had to go in now. The website name had to be given, obviously, to prove that it's legit, had to be provided there. And I believe, what is this one? Your skills had to come in. Interpersonal, I believe, comes in. Patience, all those things, customer care, I believe customer care training and a certificate, maybe food handling and a certificate mostly. So convince, come on now, it's in a restaurant. You look at these things on a daily basis. I believe attachment of your uh, resume had to be given as well. To say you have attached your resume or whatever. So these are some of the things that could have come in. Let's talk about the format because I will go on the format without fail. When we say you are writing an email, the good part is that you were provided the email you were writing to. So as a result, this email was already there. It was coming here. And then now it was from, which is your email address. And I believe you had to have a CC, whoever you want to see that you applied. And then I believe it had to be the date, and I believe it had to be the subject. So that's the format that we are talking about. And I believe at the end, we have what we call kind regards, and then finally your name and surname. So as a result, these are the things we expected, and you could have brought out the simplified version of the formats, and then you will be covered. So as a result, inclusion in your team must be convincing, as I have stated, to say those are the things that we expected you to have, and then it would have made a beautiful email of you trying to make sure you become part of being a superstar waitron at a Panino Steakhouse, I believe. One of the keywords is passionate, outgoing. So it means you might have given in activities that you do to show your, what is this one? Passionate and outgoing categories. And I believe you could have included the issue of, what is this one? Going to food stalls, finding more about food, workshops, training sessions, and all those things. So as such, your interactions with people, and I say it, interpersonal skills, I believe when I began, and then it would have been fine. Magazine article was our 2.6. I expected a newspaper, honestly, but it's still fine because anyway, we just switch. Just make sure we put what is there and where it's supposed to be. And I believe let's go to the question and hear what it has to say. It said many people believe that wealth and material possessions will bring them happiness. Write an article for a health magazine, Holistic Health, in which you explain this topic. You were given the name of the magazine this time around. So, as a result, there was no need for you to create your own. One of the things is many people believe, which means that it's become a hot topic, most probably. Wealth and material possessions will bring them happiness. All right, let's talk about the format. Definitely a short and catchy title had to come in. Short and catchy title had to come in. Without fail, you had to provide that one for us. Subtitle had to come in. We've been drilling this, hey, and all of a sudden now, I hope someone doesn't come and say, I forgot the subtitle, which will be an indicator of what the subject of the article really is. And I believe what is this one? Informal register is allowed. Remember, it's a magazine. It's a personal style of writing that must be brought in. Uh, Conversational tone can be brought in. Paragraphs must be there. It's nothing to do with what is this one? One long paragraph as learners usually do. So hopefully you're supposed to make sure you have your paragraphs in place. So you had to persuade, convince, and you had to decide exactly what you were doing there. All right, let's talk about this controversial topic that is coming in. I believe that well, that's what I call a controversial topic. It says wealth and material positions. It has positives and negatives, I believe. So it means that you are deciding on which area you are taking it. So it means you are making people aware that having wealth and material positions can do this, or can bring happiness in this way, or having wealth and material possessions unfortunately has negatives and therefore does 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's look at scenarios and look at what has been the hot ball about this issue. One of the positives that has been given about having wealth and material possessions, according to people who have them, they say it gives you a sense of achievement. So they have stated that it makes you be proud of yourself because you feel you have achieved something. They say wealth and material possessions do bring happiness because the living standards have improved. It means that people's living standards improve, and as a result, that brings them happiness. They also talk about climbing the social ladder, which means that there will be an upgrade of their social status, and therefore it means that they become happy because now they become part of a social a standard of some sort or a social clique of some sort, and that brings them happiness. People say it is, what is this one? Gives them pride in actually having achieved what they wanted to achieve. And as a result, now they feel that they've really gone an extra mile and are proud of themselves. I'm just playing with scenarios here. It's a controversial topic, believe me. But anyway, you just had to choose a side and decide what you do. But on the other hand, it can have negatives because people will say, many people say, um, it does not bring happiness. It actually brings more troubles. People are saying they are less happy when they have more wealth and material positions. Why? There is so much expectations on them, and therefore now the fear of losing all they have now makes them live on an anxious or depressive pedestal. So as a result, they are always having an eye looking behind them to actually fulfill expectations in society, and therefore now they are living up to people's expectations and not theirs, and therefore they no longer enjoy the wealth and material possessions. For some of them, they say it puts them in danger and therefore they now feel insecure. So they feel it's a security risk and a threat, and now they need to hire bodyguards. They don't have any privacy. Their life is in the spotlight because now they are talked about. Their lives are scrutinized at a close range, and therefore now they don't even know which part of their life is now personal, because everything is in the eye of the media and people around them. They are so much in the gossip columns, and as a result, they are no longer secure. They become so insecure and always thinking of their safety and feel threatened and think that everyone and anything is after them. The other one is that if you don't have the wealth and material positions that you want, you have some but not all, they now feel dissatisfied and therefore they now live wanting more. So now they become more greedy. And if they become more greedy now, it means that they are now even going to cross boundaries. They say it distracts people from personal growth. What do we mean? It means a person is not centered on themselves anymore, will not develop themselves anymore because they think they finally achieved it in life. So it means that they will stop whatever they are doing, and as a result, they think I've made it in life. I believe the issue of isolation has happened, social isolation. Friendships, family is no longer a priority. Money replaces those things. As long as they have money, it's fine. Just give money, and then they have to do, the kids have to do their own things. Just give the family money, and then the family can do what they want. And therefore, it's no longer about family life, because friendship is no longer there. You think your friends are jealous of you, and as a result, they don't love you, and you think they want what you have, and therefore, it means that insecurity now creeps in and destroys any friendship that you have. So, as I said, it's a controversial topic, and therefore, it was based on your views to where you belong. And as such, that's when you had to make a decision to say, I'm sticking here. One of the key areas of what is this one? A magazine article. I believe already you've been given the name of the magazine. So it means that finally you don't have to create your own. And therefore, it means that you just had to put it down there in your magazine article as the name of the magazine, and you'll be done. Believe the name of the person writing the magazine article also had to come in by Kelly Wales, or whatever you wanted to put there as the name of your writing. I believe one of the things I expected people to do is that connectors were supposed to be used. That's a key word in magazine articles. Connectors had to be brought in, I believe. So as a result, unfortunately, fortunately, um, what is this one? It is alleged, believed, claimed. So as a result, statistics has proven that. So whatever you had to give, you had to have a lot of connectives there. And as a result, your connectives would have made your article very convincing and easy to uh, be coherent. I believe the connectors would have brought coherence into your article, and therefore it would have made it more convincing. That's our total section B 50 marks. And as a result, I believe now you understand why it is a 3-hour examination, because when we say 3 hours, it means that process writing had to be incorporated. So as a result, hopefully people understood that process writing. I believe they specified in your instructions. If we go there quickly, they did specify that you should follow process writing. And as a result, that's when people had to now be sure they understand the instructions. Don't do what you want just to rush out of the exam. You had to make sure that you follow and adhere to this. You are strongly advised to do the following. I believe when they say 100 marks, they're not playing with you. It means that you cannot now take it and undermine it and say, I'm just going to do a rushed issue. No, 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 no. You had to say all planning must be clearly indicated as such, and therefore you had to have your planning. You must plan was instruction number 5. Using a mind map, diagram, flowchart, keywords here to edit and proofread your work. And as a result, it says the planning must appear before the answer. So imagine if you are rushing out of the examination room, you don't have your proper planning, you didn't even edit your work, and then all of a sudden when they are marking you, they find so many errors. That is definitely going to really cross the marker, and as such, you will be heavily penalized. So hopefully all the procedures were put in place to understand the importance and priority of this paper. This is the paper with the highest allocation for home language, and therefore it is deemed as the one that carries the weight, and therefore it had to be done justice today. I am happy that it started the exam because learners were still fresh and still calm from the teaching in class. And as such, it means that their ideas were still fresh. And it means they had to be thorough in their creativity and things would have come up well. Okay, we wish you all the best for the other papers that are to come, which is your paper 1 and paper 2. We will see each other on the same channel in preparation for those papers and also after the papers have been written. Remember, do thorough justice to your practice sessions, do thorough justice to your gathering of information so that you can be able to answer questions properly in the examination. And then you don't have to regret now to say, oh, I knew this one, but I'd forgotten it. Or I didn't write this one. And then now you will have to live on regrets. All right. A good afternoon to all of you. All the best in preparation for the next exams.